Hey, welcome back, friends, to another amazing episode of the Fit Life Orange County. And before I tee up today's guest, I want to give you a friendly reminder to give us a like, give us a subscribe on YouTube, write us an awesome review on iTunes. That way we can keep producing this content for you for free. So now to introduce today's guest, who's making a huge impact in our community and has so for the better part of 2 decades to help with the obesity pandemic. In fact, 80% of our population today, adults-wise, is statistically obese, overweight, and even what's worse is 20% of our children are statistically obese. So, putting your kids in athletic and moving is so important, and that's why I'm so excited to introduce Coach Roelen, who's the athletic director of Mission Viejo High School, who's been also a basketball coach for the better part of 17 seasons. And today he's going to give you a couple tips and tricks on the art of coaching and really how to capitalize and become a better person through sports, through athletics, and through moving your body.
Welcome to the Fit Life Orange County, a show dedicated to busy men and women focused on taking back control of their fitness and their lives with the help from ideas and programs from local experts here in Orange County. Here are your hosts, Bryce Henson and Jake Stewart.
Hey, Troy, welcome to the Fit Life Orange County. Super excited to have you on today.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, totally. Well, a lot to cover. We were talking off script. You're a legend in South Orange County, been involved in athletics for quite some time, from athletic directing, from coaching. So my first question really is, how did you get involved in sports and coaching to begin with?
As a young kid, my mom was in education and my dad was an athlete, and they really believed in the holistic education, in terms of not only academia, but the athletic side. And I really think it helped me manage my time. In sports, there wasn't a lot of idle time because I had to get to practice. When I was home, I was tired. I had to get my homework done. But it opened up a door in high school. I went to Mater Dei. I played basketball. I was lucky enough to get recruited by Greg Popovich and head out to the Claremont colleges and play some college basketball before starting my own coaching career. So I had a lot of good mentors along the way, and athletics and academics played a big part of it.
Oh, cool. I grew up in sports as well, so I have a lot of love and admiration for coaches and what you're doing. If you break this down, Troy, what does it mean to be, a coach to you from your lens?
I think a lot of people focus on the X's and O's side of it, but I think a real big part of coaching is not only mentoring, but being a transformational coach. And that is, extending coaching beyond the sidelines or beyond the baseline. If you will, teaching people how to be a good human being, have a moral compass, have a work ethic, work hard toward a goal. And I think sports really promotes a healthy, cathartic lifestyle to both stay fit mentally and physically.
Absolutely. I love that for that exact same reason. So we are certainly aligned. I appreciate that visibility. Now, transitioning, I want to talk a little bit about, your athletic director role at Mission Viejo High School. Before I do, and I did a lot of research prior, but before this, and I've realized that for 17 seasons, you've coached basketball. You had to take a brief hiatus, so it's technically 2 stints because of change in policy. But we'd love to hear a little bit about your experience as the head coach of the basketball team, and also, what were some big learning lessons, some big challenges, and really highlights, for your 17-season career.
Yeah, when I first got hired as a head coach, I was 32, and there was a lot of pressure to win. And I think, in the first stint, we were lucky we won 6 league titles. I went to the CIF finals 4 times, won a CIF title. But in the second stint, I think what I realized is that I didn't enjoy winning the first time. I think I took it for granted. And the second time, I think I celebrated the wins and the minor accomplishments and actually being with the players a lot more, both on and off the court, versus just the X's and O's in film. I felt like the pressure was kind of alleviated the second time as the light bulb went off, and I realized there was more to it than just winning, as there were relationships beyond the court. So that was the one big takeaway between the 2 stints. That although it wasn't my choice to step away, I think it proved to be a good mental health break and where I could be reflective on what I can do better the second time around.
Oh, interesting perspective. Appreciate that. Now, taking a step back, and why I'm so passionate, this is a passion project. This show is, the health and wellness of our country is in serious, decline. We have over a 50% obesity rate. In fact, 20% of our young children, our youth, if you will, are statistically obese. So, movement is so important. I'm curious from your lens, from coaching, kids through high school, over the last few decades. How has coaching changed? Like, how has the youth changed, and really how has your role changed as a coach?
I think kids to some degree have lost the art of play. I think the advances in technology and video gaming has kind of promoted more of a sloth-like attitude. I remember growing up and kids would put a ball under their arm and walk to the park and have a pickup game, or, a touch football game would start in the park, or you could play over the line. It seems nowadays kids don't get involved unless it's an organized sport. So I really think they've lost the art of play. It's no longer go out in the street and play until the street lights come on, kind of make up your own rules and wiffle ball, what have you. I really do think the video gaming and the cell phones and the social media has had a negative impact on fitness. And I don't think the 2 years of COVID helped at all. When everything was shut down and gyms were shut down, and, then people were confined to their homes as well. So I think coming out of it, maybe people will find a new love of play and of fitness outside of working in their own garage, or, virtual batting practice with goggles on versus going to the park and actually taking batting practice, or going to the park and getting in a pickup game and learning what it means to cooperate with 4 other people on a basketball court where there's a bunch of unknowns, versus an organized league or an organized practice.
That is really interesting, Troy. And it kind of took me back to my youth. And I agree in the sense that, like, the sports or the organizational aspect of it are, increasing. The competition is very, very high these days. And this to be true. But interestingly enough, thinking back at my childhood, playing, all hours of the day, I had to come home at night. That art of play was really like in the fabric of my youth. So it's an interesting perspective since that's your focal point. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
Now, transitioning a bit from the coaching role, and you wear a couple different hats at Mission Viejo High School. The other is the athletic director. So really what I would love to unpack there is kind of what your roles look like. What are the big challenges and also the biggest source of fulfillment on your role overseeing the athletic department?
Yeah, when I was coaching, maybe I reached 75 kids a year. But here I also teach AP and IB English, as well as serve as the athletic director. So when we talked a little bit about coaching athletes, it's just transition now to coaching coaches and trying to help them become better coaches as well. In addition to be the athletic director here, I'm also an adjunct professor at Concordia, and I teach in their Masters of Coaching Athletic Administration. So I'm teaching other ADs how to be better ADs, how to reach out to the community, how to support their athletes and coaches and their social emotional health, as well as the X's and O's and fundraising health. So I've kind of broadened my horizon from the 17 athletes that I was coaching to a coaching staff, to a coaching fraternity, and the online classes are asynchronistic. So I've had people in my class from North Korea, South Korea, Central America, and there's a universal language in coaching. So I feel that I have a lot to offer other people in maybe helping them not make the same mistakes I've made, but also helping them grow as coaches and people as they continue to mentor young people.
Yeah, love that. Now, speaking of mentoring young people, I'm sure you've had probably some special success stories over the years. Do you have maybe 1 or 2, students and athletes in mind that you've really coached that have gone on to do incredible things, or maybe just be, better people? Would love to, hear your insight and storytell a little bit.
Yeah, probably the most notable person who played for me was Mark Sanchez, who then went on to USC and played in the NFL. Carson Palmer played for me, went on, played in the NFL. Jed Collins played for me, went on. Chandler Hutchinson played for me, and then went on, was drafted by the Bulls. So I've been fortunate enough to have some athletes there. But in addition to those, the kids that have played for me have gone on to Division III schools that are high academic schools, as well as playing basketball, because there's a little bit of me in them. Someone who's not very highly recruited, but still who valued education, but also wanted to hold on to the ball a little bit longer. So a lot of those people who continue to hang on to the ball, because once you replace the ball with a pen, you never get to go back. And so I really try to encourage them to hang on to their youth as long as possible.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, holding on to that youth, I guess my next question, with budgets and, things being tight, how do you raise funds, for the athletic program? And I think it's really needed, and it's a good message to discuss, just because, again, we need to keep our kids moving. We need to keep our society moving. So we'd love some of your insights there, and really kind of call to action for our audience to help as well.
Yeah, I think that you really need to be in tune with your community and garner some community support, because ultimately in the community, whether it's the restaurants or car dealerships or what have you, the parents and kids are consumers. Orthodontics, dentists, they'll make mouth guards for you, and that'll help out. Everybody has to wear a mouth guard. Maybe the next time they buy a car, they're going to go strictly to that dealership. When the restaurants in the area provide pregame meals for us, our parents patronize those restaurants in return. So I think the fundraising, where it may not, I hope it doesn't come across as being one way. I think it's mutually beneficial for the community people live in, as well as the schools that they support, because it's very, very high visibility. And even if you look at trainers or doctors, if they're donating their time, 1 or 2 surgeries more than makes up for the time that they donate, for that. So hospitals have really gotten involved, and PT clinics have gotten involved. And, a lot of people, if you come to our gym, advertisements are running. We have cameras on all of our athletic fields and pool decks and everything, and they'll run ads as well to promote those companies that support us. But you're exactly right. It's becoming increasingly more difficult to fund sports as budgets shrink. And so we do have to find those community resources that believe in athletics and the holistic view of education to support our student clientele.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that insight, and definitely needed.
What's up, my friend? Coach Bryce here. Now, you might know me as the co-host of this podcast and the owner of Mission Viejo Fit Body. But what many people don't know is that I began my journey as a fitness transformation story. You see, circuit training and nutrition coaching absolutely changed my life after being overweight with a diet of mainly fast food in my late teens. Now, upon my fitness transformation in early 2007, yes, I gained a much better physique as I was overweight and lacked lean muscle. But way more than burning fat and building lean muscle, I increased my confidence, my energy, and my vibrancy to live life. And it's for these reasons that many people join our boot camp. In fact, with our Ultimate Transformation Program, we guarantee that you will lose at least 15 pounds in 12 weeks, or your program is free until you do. Now go ahead and visit our website at missionviejofitbody.com. Now thanks, and back to the show.
That all said, Troy, you've been very gracious with your time. I still have a little bit more time left, and I want to transition to the lightning round. And some of these questions are health and fitness related, as the essence of our podcast, and some of them are just local Orange County, content. So we'd love to pick your brain if you're up for it in the lightning round.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
All right. So certainly your passion, or one of them, is coaching and really developing the youth. But aside from that, what are your other passions that are, or at least a big passion or two these days, and why?
I obviously, as an English teacher, I like reading and broadening my horizons. I also think that's a way to broaden the vocabulary, maybe help you speak with a little more clarity. I think those are lifelong skills. So one thing I'm most proud of is the fact that I teach AP and IB English, as well as serve on the athletic side, to show that you don't have to be some illiterate athlete, but you can find a balance in both and do both. So I think reading really helps promote that. I'm really into Dan Brown kind of symbols and novels and stuff like that. Stuff that kind of takes me away from the reality of coaching or teaching, and something off the beaten path.
Yeah, good for the brain, mental exercise as well. I'm a huge fan of Dan Brown's work as well. So next up, what would be unique value bomb about your coaching experience that most kids, or adults even, their parents, don't know before putting their kids into sports, but they probably should know before they basically hit the court with you and the team?
That less than 1% of them are going to go on to play college sports, and even less are going to go on to the NBA. So when you're putting your kids into sports, what you're essentially doing is teaching them life skills about collaboration, working together for a common goal, something that, the whole will rise versus the individual parts, and being part of something bigger than yourself is invaluable. If they give themselves to the sport, I truly believe doors will open, It's not about the scholarship or the end game of the NBA or NFL. Sports are far, far more than that. And I think you're seeing it today where some people use the platform in sports in order to get some philosophies across, or maybe a political message or something about equality or inclusivity, where sports can be a really big vehicle for that. And it may open a door and you may not play, but maybe you become a GM, or maybe you're in advertising. You can still be involved in sports and not actually be an athlete, because not every kid's road leads to a professional sport.
Yeah, and to your point, less than 1%, I didn't know that stat, don't even go into college. So there's a big life beyond sports. But to your point, you can also incorporate that in many different characteristics or varieties, which is really good insight. Now, aside from this, Troy, completely kind of off the path, but again, this is a local health and fitness show. You've been in Orange County for quite some time. What's a favorite spot that we can see you hanging out from a leisure perspective that would be good a tip or recommendation for some of our audience to check out?
Well, I don't know how healthy it is, but when my wife and my daughter, who's now home, my two sons are in college, they'll want to go out and get a gelato in Laguna Beach. But in getting the gelato, we also go walking, through all the different art galleries and stuff like that. And again, the reason for that, it's very different than my normal life of answering questions or answering English or being around an athletic field. Being closer to the beach that way is something that I feel I can remove myself, and it's kind of cathartic, kind of decompress at night. To do that, and the gelato doesn't hurt. I don't know how healthy and fit it's going to make me, but hopefully the steps, burn some of those calories off.
Yeah, there you go. All right, a few more questions for you, and this is kind of more geared now to your role at Mission Viejo High School. But where can our audience find you in terms of website or social media handle, and then more importantly, how can our audience support Mission Viejo High School athletics?
Yeah, we have a website. It's Diablo Athletics, and people can advertise on that website. And then I alluded to earlier, we have cameras in our gym, in our pool deck, on the baseball field, softball field, in the stadium, and all of our games are streamed live. So people can go on NFHS and type in Mission Viejo High School, and they can watch all sporting events at our high school live. I think it's important. My in-laws, they live on the East Coast in Boston and in Florida. And so when my kids went through here, they could look at their phone or their desktop, and they can watch their grandkids play every single sport that was on our campus. And advertising is available that way, and it's really unique because we're one of the few campuses that actually has 5 cameras that shoot live all the time for our kids. And it's worked out. Some of college coaches, their budgets have been slashed. So our kids have been actually recruited because the coaches watch the live events, and they can't be in her person, but they can watch live versus competition as opposed to a camp. So it's served as a recruiting tool as well across the country that people can view our athletes.
Oh, very cool. Was that innovation through COVID, or has that been, in the works for quite some time?
Lucky we were ahead of that COVID curve, but to your point, we had the cameras in, and then during COVID, there was nobody allowed in the stands, but we were kind of ahead of the game in that we could stream it. Since then, the company has offered 2 cameras to every high school for free, seeing the value because we all had to lessen our fan base per the COVID restrictions. Yeah. So I feel that we were kind of avant-garde, ahead of it a little bit, that we had the cameras installed. COVID hit, our fans were still able to watch us play despite limited fans in the gyms and the fields.
Yeah. Well, Troy, this has been amazing. I appreciate you kind of unpeeling the onion, if you will, and be able to provide your visibility in terms of your career, coaching, what that means to the youth, the fact that we need to continue to keep our kids moving, which is really part of this theme here. My last question for you, just to kind of put a bow on this, is what does it mean to live a healthy and fit lifestyle to you?
I think it's important. I have members of my family that have suffered from like AFib and some cardio situations, and also some that are diabetic. And things like that can be avoided by living a healthy lifestyle, and not only, working out, but watching what you're eating. I do feel, COVID kind of put a damper on that. I'm not putting all the blame there. But, the NFL makes a concerted effort with their Play 60 or whatever it is to get out and play more. And I really do think parents need to kick the kids out of the house and maybe force them to play a little bit. Go talk to the neighbor, not just wait till the Saturday Little League game, to show up once outside of the room, because I do think it will come back to bite you if you don't take care of your body and your heart and the very things that keep you alive to enjoy those things that you like to enjoy. So that healthy balance, I can't say enough about it, in terms of working out. And I do think it provides for a healthy outlet, working out after the day of work, so you could expel some of those frustrations before bringing it through the front door with you. I think it makes family relations a little bit easier to work with when everybody's a little bit more relaxed and have their frustrations out prior to coming home.
Yeah, I think so. And also too, for parents as well, just leading by example. I mean, you know this to be true, Troy. You can, say something or give one of your students, instructions so you blue in your face. But when they see you doing that, when they see you taking that action, it becomes a lot easier for them to fall in place. So I appreciate that visibility, insight, and this has been an incredible conversation. And before I wrap, I just wanted to acknowledge you. Thanks for being a leader in our community, for repping the flag from an athletic director perspective, from a coaching perspective. I certainly have a lot of passion for living in South Orange County for nearly 15 years, and just want to thank you and show gratitude to you for the work that you've done to make our community better.
Hey, I appreciate the opportunity. Anything I can do to help, feel free to lean on me and reach out.
Absolutely. Will do, Troy. And audience, would love for you to stay in touch. Assuming you got value, go ahead and give the show on YouTube a like, a subscribe, and that way we can keep producing this content for you for free. And that would also help Troy and Mission Viejo High School athletics, which is really the call to action today. So thanks again. And my friends, we'll see you in the next show.